Chapter 59 of Phlebotomy or Bloodletting. Phlebotomy is the opening of a vein, evacuating the blood with the rest of the humors. Thus, arteriotomy is the opening of an artery. The first scope of phlebotomy is the evacuation of the blood offending in quantity, although ofttimes the physician's intention is to draw forth the blood which offends in quality, or either way by opening a vein. Repletion, which is caused by the quantity is twofold. The one advaries, that is, to the strength, the veins being otherwise not very much swelled. This makes men infirm and weak, nature not able to bear this humor, of what kind soever it be. The other is termed advasa, that is, to the vessels, the which is so called comparatively to the plenty of blood, although the strength may very well away with therewith. The vessels are ofttimes broke by this kind of repletion, so that the patient casts and spits up blood, or else evacuates it by the nose, womb, hemorrhoids, or varices. The repletion which is advirus is known by the heaviness and wearisomeness of the whole body, but that which is advasa is perceived by their distension and fullness. Both of them stand in need of evacuation. But blood is only to be let by opening a vein, for 5 respects. The first is to lessen the abundance of blood, as in plethoric bodies, and those who are troubled with inflammation without any plenitude. The second is for diversion or revulsion, as when a vein of the right arm is opened to stay the bleeding of the left nostril. The third is to allure or draw down, as when the Ch.59 is opened in the ankle to draw down the courses in women. The fourth is for alteration or introduction of another quality, as when in sharp fevers we open a vein to breathe out that blood which is heated in the vessels, and cooling the residue which remains behind. The first is to prevent imminent diseases, as when in the spring and autumn we draw blood by opening a vein in such as are subject to spitting of blood, the squenancy, pleurisy, falling sickness, apoplexy, madness, gout, or in such as are wounded, for so to prevent the inflammation which is to be feared. Before bloodletting, if there be any old excrements in the guts, they shall be evacuated by a gentle blister or suppository, lest the mesaraic veins should thence draw unto them any impurity. Blood must not be drawn from ancient people unless some present necessity require it, lest the native heat which is but languid in them should be brought to extreme debility, and their substance decay. Neither must any in like sort be taken from children, for fear of resolving their powers by reason of the tenderness of their substance and rareness of their habit. The quantity of blood which is to be let must be considered by the strength of the patient, the greatness of the disease. Therefore, if the patient be weak and the disease require large evacuation, it will be convenient to part the letting of blood, yea, by the interposition of some days. The vein of the forehead being opened is good for the pain of the hind part of the head. Yet first we foment the part with warm water, that so the skin may be the softer and the blood drawn into the veins in greater plenty. In this quiescency, the veins which are under the tongue must be opened aflant, without putting any ligatures about the neck for fear of strangling. Phlebotomy is necessary in all diseases which stop or hinder the breathing, or take away the voice or speech, as likewise in all contusions by a heavy stroke, or fall from high, in an apoplexy, squenancy, and burning fever, though the strength be not great, nor the blood faulty in quantity or quality. Blood must not be let in the height of a fever. Most judge it fit to draw blood from the veins most remote from the affected and inflamed part, for that thus the course of the humors may be diverted. The next vein The next veins, on the contrary, being opened, the humours may be the more drawn into the affected part, and so increase the burden and pain. But this opinion of theirs is very erroneous, for an opened vein always evacuates and disburdens the next part. For I have sundry times opened the veins and arteries of the affected parts, as of the hands and feet in the gout of these parts, of the temples in the migraine, whereupon the pain always was somewhat assuaged, for that, together with the evacuated blood, the malignity of the gout, and the hot spirits, the causes of the headache or migraine, were evacuated. For thus Galen wisheth to open the arteries of the temples in a great and contumacious defluxion falling upon the eyes, or in the migraine or headache. Chapter 60. How to open a vein and draw blood from thence. The first thing is to seat or place the patient in as good a posture as you can, to wit, in his bed if he be weak, but in a chair if strong, yet so that the light may fall directly upon the vein which you intend to open. Then the surgeon shall rub the arm with his hand or a warm linen cloth, that the blood may flow the more plentifully into the vein. Then he shall bind the vein with a ligature a little above the place appointed to be opened, and he shall draw back the blood upwards towards the ligature from the lower part. And if it be the right arm, he shall take thereof with his left hand, but if the left, then with his right hand, pressing the vein in the meantime with his thumb a little below the place where you mean to open it, lest it should slip away, and that it may be the more swollen by forcing up the blood. Then with his nail he shall mark or design the place to be opened, and shall anoint it, being so marked with butter or oil, whereby the skin may be relaxed, and the lancet enter more easily, and therefore the section may be the less painful. And he shall hold his lancet between his thumb and forefinger, neither too near nor too far from the point. He shall rest his other 3 fingers upon the patient's arm, that so his hand may be the more steady and less trembling. Then shall he open the vein with an incision agreeable to the magnitude of the vessel, and the indifferent thickness of the contained blood somewhat aslant, diligently avoiding the artery which lies under the basilica, and the nerve or tendon of the 2-headed muscle, which lies under the median vein.